Coming up on this episode of Northwood Weekly, we'll recap how all of our fall sports did in their opening week of action. We'll go over some of the highlights, and we'll talk about a former athlete who 9 years after graduation is still doing big things at the professional level. Timberwolves Weekly starts right now. Welcome to the second episode of Northwood Weekly. I'm Travis McCurdy, your host. Standing out here at Hant Stadium, home of the Timberwolves football team. We had our first game on Saturday. It was an emotional game. The opener for the football team against Northern Michigan. We unveiled a great banner, as you can see behind me, honoring the late Pat Rietma. It was Leonard Haynes' first game as head coach. Let's see how the Timberwolves did in their opener.
From the kickoff, Jacob Towsley, with Haggerty gone, will do the kicking. Fielded there by the Wildcats from the kickoff on their own one. They've got one series before them. Northwood now a 3 series. And a 2nd and 3 from the 22, their own 22.
Fumble again. What a skip.
Left to right, comes to a stop. Brown shows it, he'll keep it. Going to look to go up and over top. INT Northwood. Marco Nickens. 2. That's where Northern will try to pick up their first points of the day. A 32-yard field goal attempt. He missed the first one. Special teams and defense turn the Wildcats of Northern Michigan away from the scoreboard one more time. It's remain 3rd and 4. 3rd and goal. Morris to the air. Thread the needle, Stocker touchdown, the one he thought he had 2 plays ago. Hung on to this one, went to the seat of his pants. Cannon. Stands alone in the backfield. Everybody split wide left. Nobody to help him, and nobody to help him. Hills, the junior starter, second tier for Coach Haynes. Good coverage downfield, turns into a sack.
There's the bend, don't break, guys. There you go. Called it. Season as well.
3rd and 4 from their own 19. Brown pulls up to shoot from his own 10. Pick. And you with a football, and Nick Tripp.
Oh, yeah, there's the defense. Big play.
They're scoreless through 3.5 quarters here at Hants Field in Midland. Brown looks.
Oh, wide open.
And in the flat. Picked off. INT Jerry Taylor.
Northwood ended up picking up the win 20-7 over Northern Michigan in the opener. Jared Bergoglio ends up with 120 yards and a touchdown. Mark Morris, 15 of 30, 166 and a touchdown. Nick Tripp with 6 tackles, 1 INT, and 1 pass breakup led the balanced defensive attack. Timberwolves finished the game with advantages in total offense, rushing yards, first downs, fewer turnovers, and time of possession. Great all-around performance for Coach Leonard Haynes and his team in his first game at the helm of the Timberwolves. It really was an emotional day out here at Hant Stadium on Saturday. What a great win. What a great way to honor Coach Rietma. The Timberwolves with a 27 win over Northern Michigan. Congrats to Leonard Haynes, the entire coaching staff, and all the players. Great way to start the year. Congratulations to all. Also would like to thank our maintenance crew. We had a big rainfall leading into the game the couple days before, and the field held up remarkably well. That's thanks in large part to their efforts. Thank you for all that you did leading into that game. This Saturday will be a big challenge for our Timberwolves. The football team will travel to number 6 Ferris State on Saturday night, September 12th. That is the season opener for Ferris State. They did not play last week. That game's at 7 o'clock at Top Taggart Field. If you can't make it, you can listen on WMPX AM 1490 here in Midland, or you can listen online at gonorthwood.com. The volleyball team also opened their 2015 season last weekend. The Timberwolves traveled to Southern Indiana to take part in the Dunn Invitational. 4 matches for James Goodrich's team. Let's see how the team did in their opening weekend. After a bit of a slow start, the Northwood volleyball team rallied to win their final 2 matches at the Dunn Invitational. Northwood dropped a 3-0 match to Wayne State, Nebraska, the number 5 team in the country, in the opener, before falling to the host Southern Indiana 3-0. However, Northwood responded with two 3-0 victories on day 2, the first one over Southwest Baptist and the second over Kentucky Wesleyan. Krista Kramer with a strong weekend for the Timberwolves, 3.25 kills and 3.5 points per set for Northwood. As you can see, the Timberwolves hitting percentage got much better as the weekend went on, 100 in the first 2 matches and 279 in the last 2 matches. In the match against Kentucky Wesleyan, Northwood held the Wildcats to a 0-0-0 hitting percentage in all 3 sets, something you don't see very often in volleyball. So the Timberwolves end up 2-2 in the opening weekend of the season. So 4 matches into the year, the Timberwolves have 4 3-set matches. The Timberwolves are 2-2 after their opening weekend at Southern Indiana. The Timberwolves lost to 2 pretty good teams in Southern Indiana and Wayne State, Nebraska. Wayne State, Nebraska obviously ranked in the top 5 nationally now. So with those 2 wins to finish the weekend, however, the Timberwolves are trending upward. James Goodrich's team will head to Lindenwood this weekend down in Missouri for 4 more matches. Northwood will get play underway on Friday, September 11th against Emporia State. Rarely will a team play a contest that's one of their most important right away to start the year, but that's exactly what the women's tennis team did here on Saturday. Northwood hosted Tiffin, one of the expected contenders for the GLIAC Championship. A loss to the Dragons would have put Northwood in real trouble to try to get back to the top of the GLIAC. A win puts them in prime position to have another chance at another title for Zane Kolstock. So that's how the Timberwolves opened the weekend. They also took on Findlay. Let's see how Zane Kolstock's women's tennis team did to open the 2015-16 season. Northwood opened the weekend with a huge 5-4 win over Tiffin. The Timberwolves and the Dragons are expected to be 2 of the big contenders for the GLIAC Championship this season. After doubles, Northwood held a 2-1 lead, but the Dragons bounced back to win 3 of the first 5 singles matches to level the score at 4-4. But Anastia Kazub came through in the clutch. She won her match 4-6, 6-2, 6-1 to give Northwood the 5-4 victory. Kazub won that match as the last match on in a tie to earn the win for Northwood to get to 1-0 in the conference. The Timberwolves then took on Findlay the next day, and we have some highlights from that match. It was a beautiful, warm, sunny day out at the Gerstacker Courts on Sunday, September 6th, as the Northwood University women's tennis team continued Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference play with a match against the Findlay Oilers. This is one day after the Timberwolves came up with a huge 5-4 win over the Tiffin Dragons here at the Gerstacker Courts. The Dragons and the Timberwolves were 2 of the top teams in the GLIAC, 2 of the teams expected to win the championship. So a huge win for Northwood on Saturday, and then here on Sunday against the Findlay Oilers, the Timberwolves took care of business as well. Northwood came out very strong in doubles, dropping only 7 games and sweeping the 3 matches to go up 3-0 heading into singles. The Timberwolves continued their strong play in singles, winning 5 of the 6 matches in straight sets and dropping only 1 set total in these 6 matches to pick up a 9-0 win over the Findlay Oilers on this day. The Timberwolves are now 2-0 overall, 2-0 in the GLIAC. Northwood, always one of the best teams in the conference this year and should be among the contenders once again, like we mentioned, with that win over Tiffin. The Timberwolves return 4 of their top 6 players from a year ago, and they have added some talented newcomers as well. And Northwood now 2-0 on the air, 2-0 in the GLIAC as well. Congrats to Zane Kolstock and the rest of the women's tennis team. That's a great way to start the season. Tiffin's a real contender for the GLIAC championship this year, and Northwood now is in prime position. Their fate is in their own hands. They have a big match this week at Grand Valley State, another one of the prime contenders for the GLIAC title. That's this weekend. Good luck to Zane and the rest of the team. Last weekend, Northwood's men's soccer team was supposed to have their first home game of the year right here at Dean Field, where we were supposed to show off that fancy new banners commemorating the 2014 GLIAC Tournament Championship team. However, but with more than 2 inches of rain in the area the day before, the field was a little wet and soggy, so to save it for later matches, the Timberwolves moved over to the Tri-City Sports Complex in Auburn to play U of M Dearborn in their season opener. Let's check out how that game went. The Northwood men's soccer team opened their 2015 season with a non-conference game against U of M Dearborn. The game was supposed to originally take place at Dean Field on the campus of Northwood University, but heavy rains in the area the day before moved the game to the Tri-City Sports Complex in Auburn. Northwood got off to a strong start in the game, registering the first 9 shots on goal in the contest. However, they were unable to find the back of the net, and then U of M Dearborn, on their first shot of the game, found the net for a 1-0 lead. Northwood responded with a goal of their own shortly thereafter by Adam Thomas, with the assist going to James DeCosmo. That sent the game to the half tied 1-1, despite Northwood holding a 16-3 advantage in shots. Second half, Northwood got going once again thanks to DeCosmo and Thomas, as Thomas fed DeCosmo for a goal that made the score 2-1. However, Dearborn fought right back with a goal in the 54th minute to level the game. Northwood then finally earned the game winner, Mayoa Oafleko's goal, in the 64th minute off a pass from Jack Smith. That gave Northwood a 3-2 lead, and that's how the game ended. Northwood dominated possession and shots, but were only able to win by 1 goal. The Timberwolves finished the game with a 35-7 advantage in shots for the contest. That was a strange game at the Tri-City Sports Complex. Northwood really controlled the play for the vast majority of time, but credit to U of M Dearborn, they really took advantage of their opportunities and converted a couple goals and really made Northwood play through the full 90 minutes in that 3-2 contest. However, Northwood's big game is this week, Friday at 4 o'clock against rival Saginaw Valley State. SVSU's off to a great start this season. They're 2-0, a couple of in-region wins against GLVC opponents to start the year. They're up to number 6 nationally. Northwood's up to number 16 nationally. 2 top 20 teams playing here at 4 o'clock at Dean Field on Friday. We'd love to have you come out. Should be a great atmosphere. Should be a great game. The women's soccer team also got their season underway last weekend at Findlay, a couple of in-region opponents. The Timberwolves opened the year against Southern Indiana and then took on St. Joe's. Let's see how Dean Pappas' team did to open the 2015 season. The women's soccer team traveled to Findlay and played in a couple of overtime games. First up, they lost to Southern Indiana by the score of 1-0. Neither team could muster much offense in the game, as both teams finished with 4 shots overall, 2 on goal. USI's goal came in the 95th minute to spoil the Timberwolves opener. Northwood then earned a 1-1 draw against St. Joseph's on Sunday. Jessica Flores had the first goal of the season for the Timberwolves. Samantha Cook played well in net for Northwood with 6 saves. Northwood ends the trip to Findlay with a 0-1-1 record. So a pair of overtime games to start the year for Dean Pappas' team. Pretty well defended for the women's soccer team to start the year. Just 2 goals allowed in 2 games, both of which went to overtime. So the Timberwolves, 0-1-1 to start the year, will compete at Concordia. That's Friday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Cross-country teams also opened their 2015 season at the Eastern Michigan Celebration Meet. Let's see how Jamie Marino's team did to start the year. The Northwood cross-country teams opened their 2015 season with a meet at Eastern Michigan, the Eastern Michigan Celebration that took place Saturday, September 5th at the Eagle Crest Golf Course in Ypsilanti Landing, Michigan. The women's team led by Jenny Franz. She placed 49th out of 116 runners. Sammy Tunani led the men's team, 33rd out of 106 runners in the men's race. Timberwolves off to a solid start in the 2015 season. Good start to the year for Jamie Marino and the cross-country teams down at Eastern Michigan. Coach Marino's teams are back in action again this weekend. They're heading to Lake Superior State to run in Sault Ste. Marie. Now it's time we announce our first Athletes of the Week of the 2015-16 season. We'll start on the women's side. Our Women's Athlete of the Week came through big time for our team in a huge match. She was the last person on the court. She needed to win or Northwood was going to lose, and she came through. Our Women's Athlete of the Week is Anastia Kazub of the Northwood women's tennis team. She posted a 4-0 record overall, going 2-0 at number 4 singles and 2-0 at number 3 doubles. As we mentioned before, she was the key performer in Northwood's clutch 5-4 victory over Tiffin. She picked up the last match on victory at number 4 singles, 4-6, 6-2, 6-1. That gave Northwood the overall match win 5-4 over the Dragons in a huge early season GLIAC matchup. Anastia Kazub, your Northwood Women's Athlete of the Week. As far as our Men's Athlete of the Week goes, the selection of which team to pick from was pretty easy. The Northwood football team had a big win to start the year against a division rival. So that was simple. The football team would be the team that would be represented for the Men's Athlete of the Week. However, from that point on, it became tricky. In classic Northwood fashion, we had a very balanced offense and defense in that game against Northern Michigan. We had a lot of people who were good candidates to be the Athlete of the Week. Jared Bergoglio had 120 yards rushing and a touchdown. Cody Ellwanger forced a fumble and blocked a kick. Mike Fisher had 9 tackles and a sack. Mike Keith had 8 tackles and a sack. But we decided to go with a young man who hasn't been able to play with the Timberwolves for almost 2 years, and he took full advantage of his return to the team. Our Men's Athlete of the Week is Nick Tripp from the football team. Tripp had a strong return to the lineup in the Timberwolves' 20-7 win over Northern Michigan. He had 6 tackles, an interception, and a pass defended. His third-quarter interception set up Northwood's second touchdown of the day and extended the Timberwolves' lead to 20-0. He also earned the Ace Hammer Award in the game, given to the Northwood player with the biggest hit of the contest. Nick Tripp, your Men's Athlete of the Week. Congrats to Anastia and Nick, both well-deserved of our Northwood Athletes of the Week. Great starts to the season for both of them for the 2015 campaign. I want to give you an update about one of our alumni. He played here from 2003 to 2006, still holds many school records, and is still thriving in the Canadian Football League. I'm talking, of course, about Charleston Hughes. Charleston played linebacker for the Timberwolves, still holds the school records for most tackles in a career, most tackles in a season. He led the NCAA in solo tackles one season. Now he's up in the Canadian League 9 years after graduation, and he's still thriving. He was named a CFL Shaw top performer last week for his game for the Calgary Stampeders against the Edmonton Eskimos. He had 5 tackles and 3 sacks. He leads the CFL in sacks right now, something he's done in the past in his career for the Stampeders. Charleston was one of the great players I've ever watched here and a great guy. Really proud of him, really happy for him. So, Chuck, keep up the good work, my friend. Well, that's going to do it for our second episode of Timberwolves Weekly. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. I really would like to see everyone come out to Dean Field on Friday at 4 o'clock, Northwood, Saginaw Valley. A great rivalry anytime, but men's soccer in particular, it's a tremendous rivalry. 2 really good teams, 2 top 20 nationally ranked teams. Real contenders for the GLIAC Championship this season. Should be a lot of fun out here at Dean Field. Make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and follow us on Instagram as well. And check out all of our videos on YouTube. I'm Charles McCurdy signing off. Keep fighting. Go Mad.